Hello, everyone. Happy Easter and good afternoon. It's Easter Wednesday, coming to you live from my office, and you'll probably be seeing this as a recording. And I'm making this video particularly thinking about all of our children in our school and religious ed and our teachers, and they're all back at school now. I hope it's going well. Not only doing it from home, but doing new material, and blessing to all you parents and teachers for all you're doing, all the extra effort and all the changes. But I thought I'd make a video, hopefully the first of others, just about something having to do with our faith and something that might be appropriate for these very unprecedented days and these unusual classrooms that we're having. And so I wanted to share a little bit about someone that I didn't know anything about until about 7 years ago, but now somebody that kind of has touched my life in a very unusual way, and he seems very appropriate for what we're going through now. And it has to do with someone who is now a young boy. He died at a young age, and his name was Zepherin, or Zepherino Numunkara. And he was born in what is now Argentina back in 1886. And he is from an indigenous tribe, and is now actually one of the first blesseds from South America, from the indigenous people from South America. And he was born in the Pampas region of Argentina. So he's a great opportunity not only to learn a little bit about our faith and to be encouraged in these times, but also for the older classrooms, and maybe for us adults too, to learn a little bit of geography and learn a little bit about the peoples of that land. The Arancano tribe is where he's from, and his father was basically the head of the tribe. And his life is interesting for a few reasons, or I think very appropriate as we deal with this pandemic, and it's affecting the globe. But he grew up in a family. He was the 8th of 12 children, and he grew up in a time of conflict. And the tribe that his father was the head of had been kind of oppressed by the Europeans, and they had to give way, and they had to move from their original lands. And his father decided that Zepherin he wanted him to be hopefully a bridge in the future between his own peoples and the Europeans there, who had more control and more power and authority. And so he wanted him to be raised by the Salesians and to be raised Christian. Most of his people were not Christians at that time. And so Zepherin really grew up most of his life apart from his family, even as a very young age. And by the time he was 11, he was sent off to military school. And I thought it was especially appropriate, thinking about all of you who are in school. He had a pretty challenging time to adjust, and his first adjustment there at that school was very painful. He was bullied a lot. And because of that, his father moved him to another school. Actually, the priest that was a friend with his father's recommended he go to a Salesian school. So he went even farther away, but that was a better experience for him. And he was able to make some friends there. He was, as every one of us is, had his own gifts. I think he was good at singing. He was good at archery. He was good at card tricks. That endeared him to his classmates as well. He was good at giving card tricks. But he also became a young boy of faith during all of this time too. And he really came to want to share that faith with his own people. And he had a great devotion to the Blessed Mother and to the Eucharist. Stories were told that in the classroom, sometimes his parents or his teachers thought he was distracted, wasn't paying attention, and maybe he wasn't paying attention to the material, but he was focused on the chapel, which was outside his class thinking about Jesus and the Eucharist in the other room there in the church. But he had a great desire, and so by the time he was a young man and getting done with his primary education in his teenage years, he expressed a desire to become a priest rather than being trained more in the military. And so actually right before he was going to go into the seminary, he was able to organize and lead a procession for our Blessed Mother. This was right around when he was about 17 years old. And immediately after that, he got sick with tuberculosis. Not like the coronavirus exactly, but similar. Tuberculosis is a bacterial infection, but it affects the lungs, just like this coronavirus. And he became ill, and the bishop who was in charge of him in his studies thought maybe he would do better in Italy with the weather there, so we went to Italy to study there. But soon after that, he died in 1905, just at the age of not quite 19 years old. And but through all of that, whether it was experiencing as a young boy bullying and being treated poorly by his classmates, and how he responded with great patience, with a forgiveness, or in his illness in the last years of his life with this painful illness, how everyone was struck by his kindness and still his cheerfulness and his concern for others. He showed great virtue. He showed what it means to really live like Christ. And that made a deep impression on all those that came in contact with him. And so there was a growing devotion to him over the years. And even around 2000, not that long ago, there was a miracle attributed to him. A young mother, I think, but a young woman who was healed from cancer there in Argentina, a young Argentinian woman from uterine cancer. And no medical explanation, no normal way could that have happened. And so that was approved as a miracle because they had been praying to Zepherin for that healing. And so now he's beatified. He's a blessed. He's someone that we can all turn to. We know he's in heaven. And though he had a short life here, and he died from an illness that was similar to something like coronavirus, his life was full insofar as he got to heaven. That's why we're here. And he loved as Jesus loved, and he shared that faith with others in his own way. And so now he's someone that we all look to. What struck me and why I share in a particular way today on him is because today my nephew, who is named after him, celebrates his 7th birthday. And he was named after him precisely because his parents, my sister and her husband, brother-in-law, knew that Zepherin might have cystic fibrosis, and that this would be a way, again, that's among other things, a debilitating lung disease, and that he would have his protection. And what I found out later as well is when the day that Zepherin died, May 11th, is my birthday. And so there's that personal connection. He seems a great young man to look to for all of us, but especially those who are young. In this time of great change, he had to go through very unusual school circumstances, and he was patient. He was what we call meek. He exhibited meekness, which wasn't being whiny or being a doormat, but it's being gentle. And it's a strength of character, and it's being kind to others. And it's not returning violence and anger in kind, but overcoming that with forgiveness and with compassion and patient perseverance. And of course, he suffered sickness, and we already know some in our area and some in our family, our school family who have passed. And so we pray for them, but we have that hope in Jesus, even as Zepherin did. And so to know that this day is a big day in my family, and because of Saint Zepherin or Blessed Zepherin, he's connected to all of us. So learn a little bit more about him in the class. You might learn a little bit more about Argentina and the indigenous people there. He's a great role model for all of us. So may God bless you in this Easter week. I hope you're doing well in your homes and in your classes. Don't forget to be patient and loving and thankful and generous with your family, with your friends. God bless you.